back with another episode of the Not an Accident podcast. And ladies and gentlemen, I have a special one for you today, man. I got Roberto Borrero of the Tampa Business Club. Also, I learned that you also have a app company as well that we haven't talked about in too much detail because I know you from the Tampa Business Club. So I'm excited to talk to you today. I'm excited to talk to you about networking, creating the Tampa Business Club, obviously the app company and what goes into that. Man, you got a lot of stuff going on. So
that's crazy.
Get it started, baby. Tell us about yourself.
Listen, I'm here with Kevin on a podcast, man. You know, it's like I'm being interviewed by Kevin on a podcast. What is up, Tampa Bay? Yeah, we are doing it.
We are, man. And I can tell you as I've probably known you well over 5 years at this point, and you've been crushing it for a minute. And I met obviously
likewise, though, man.
You saw me as a baby attorney many moons ago, and I met so many people through you and through your organization. So let's kick it off, man. Tell me about yourself.
Yeah, man. Listen, like you said, I'm glad you pointed out. There's so many cool concepts here going on, and my brain's already at the end of this, right? Just because so many cool elements. But I'm glad you pointed out that you know me from the Tampa Business Club, because we're going to talk about that later. Yeah. It's so important to dig into that, especially for the audience. But yeah, I do networking events, right? I'm known for the Tampa Business Club by a large amount of people. But it's cool that you also said I own an app company, because the insight is Mobile Apps Media is my marketing firm.
Okay.
And Mobile Apps Media owns Tampa Business Club. So Tampa Business Club is not its own entity. I have about 5 or 6 DBAs, and they're all part of that one LLC, right? And so that's pretty cool. And in those different LLCs, I have met different people because they're all different initiatives. So they're all different brands, different markets. But it all comes back to Mobile Apps Media. And when it comes to Tampa Business Club, the reason why I mention all that is because Tampa Business Club was formed when I decided, look, I need to grow Mobile Apps Media. And that's when it happened.
Okay.
So I ended up joining every single chamber in town, every organization, you name it, I joined it, I paid for it. The reason why, and we have this in common, we both like to talk. And so for me, I just wanted to meet as many people as I can.
I created a podcast because I like to talk.
You know what I mean? And so for me, I was just like, I'm gonna get back to that too, right? Yeah. I'm like, man, I'm gonna join all these organizations. I want to meet a whole lot of people. Like, I want to sell a whole lot of websites. I want to build a whole lot of apps. And what I realized is the more organizations I was a part of, the less opportunity I had to actually talk and engage, because I was always at events, I was always at organizations, I was always doing things, but they all had agendas. And so if the event was 2 hours or 2.5 hours, an hour and a half of that was listening to Kevin speak, or listening to me speak, or listening to Joe, Mary, or whatever. And for people like me and you, we want to go speak. We want to go crush the room. We want the opportunity. If there's 100 people there, we want to meet all 100. And what happens is there was always strict agendas. So there was 100 people in the room, but you only had time to talk to about 5 or 6. And we both understand there's a numbers game. We don't want to talk to 6 people. We want to talk to 60. The more people you talk to, the more doors you knock on, the more opportunities you have, right? And I just kept on going, and I couldn't find that answer for me personally. So that's where Tampa Business Club came out of. We're like going to create an atmosphere where we bring massive people together with one key thing: no hidden agenda. Hey, Kevin comes to me and says, hey, I want to speak at your Tampa Business Club event. No, not happening.
Or pay this.
It ain't happening.
Yeah.
No, because I realized that the reason the organization became so successful is because we were answering a problem that I had no idea was a problem, because I was never looking at it from the optical point of other people. It was always about me. And so I was looking at it of a way I can personally grow, not realizing all of us had that same situation. We all wanted an atmosphere and a platform where we can just go and not worry about agendas. Like, we just want to meet a lot of people and grow our personal brands. And that's how we're here today.
That's something, and shout out to all the chambers out there. I mean, I'm part of a bunch of chambers.
Me too, and I own one.
Yeah. So, and I think you own is it the Latin Chamber?
Yeah, the CEO of the Tampa Bay Latin Chamber of Commerce.
So there's a lot of great things that they provide, but I definitely get what you're saying, and it can be, if you don't show up for the networking portion of the event that they're putting on, like say for example, an easy example is like a business breakfast. Like if you don't show up a half hour before the actual breakfast, you won't meet everybody.
For sure.
I mean, it won't happen. So, and your events, again, are very different in the fact that there's no agenda and you're there to meet people and connect with people.
Strictly.
So tell me, I want to dive a little bit deeper in this. So how did the Tampa Business Club start, I guess? Tell me about how the idea came to an inception and the beginning stages of that.
Yeah. So like I said earlier, that's how Tampa Business Club came after 12 months of paying so many dues and fees and trying to meet so many people and realizing that the more organizations I was a part of, the more agendas I was a part of. The less time I had to myself to meet people because I am not the person that shows up 30 minutes early. Right? Unfortunately. And I would realize that would be my only opportunity.
Or how many people have time to go to a luncheon? You know what I mean?
Or
your events are after work.
100%. And at that moment, there wasn't so many people doing after hours. There was more breakfasts and luncheons, which was even more of an obstacle for me, right? So yes, 2,000%. And just to strengthen your point, yes, shout out to all the chambers and all the organizations that do that because there's no negative or con to that. This conversation that we're having is not about negatives. It's about journey. And so when someone asks why Tampa Business Club came, it's because me personally, I wanted the opportunity to meet a lot of people. I didn't want to hear people speak. I already had enough platforms for that, right? Including, again, our own chamber. We do that every week, right? I wanted to create a platform where none of that existed. And so after not being able to fulfill my appetite of meeting people, I looked for a personal solution. I come from the entertainment world. I'm a singer-songwriter, right? In 2008, had huge success globally. And I understood that world as my first nature, right? And when I looked into how can I create this platform or atmosphere for professionals, the very first slogan that I ever came up with was how successful grown-ups have fun. That was my slogan. So to this day, Tampa Business Club icon has yet to change. It still says networking Tampa Bay, how successful grown-ups have fun. It's been there for 7 years. I've never changed the logo. The logo's everywhere else, the Tampa Business Club logo. But my icon symbol has never changed. Because at the end of the day, today, that's still who we are. How successful grown-ups have fun. So to answer your question, I was looking for something for myself. I couldn't find it. I created it. And then I used all of my knowledge from my entertainment world, the things that worked in the entertainment world, the things that brought people together in the entertainment world. And I applied it to what we're doing today. But I want to stop you right there, which is massive, by the way. I mean, dude, like I'm not trying to like overhype you right now, but like those photos that you post after your Thursday night events, like 150 people deep that are in the photo, not like coming and going and stuff like that. Sure. Like that's insane. Yeah. And it's consistent. Yeah. We both said it at the
yeah. I mean, and I'm like, you think there would be a slowdown. There's not. It's every week. And I look at those photos. It's different people.
Yeah. 100%.
It's not, now there's, some
70-30.
Correct. Yeah. There's, some people that you'll see in the photos are like, oh, I know them or I've met them and stuff like that. But I would say, there's a significant amount of new people that come to every event. So tell me about why did you pick doing it in person versus going online with it, creating some type of like Facebook. And now you do have a Facebook group, obviously, which is incredibly successful, but why was it still an in-person events company versus being online purely?
Yeah, I'm gonna circle back to what we were just talking about to bring that in. I was creating the Tampa Business Club ideology, the platform, the whys of how is this going to be successful. I mentioned I looked at the entertainment world and what worked there, but I couldn't leave out one of the most important parts of this conversation. As I was growing up, as you were growing up, we've heard from our parents, from our grandparents, you are who you hang out with. We always heard that. We probably never understood it. We probably had that friend in the neighborhood who was a rebel, but he was your good friend, and your mom would say, or your dad or your grandma, stay away from him, and you would say, oh, on to your mom, whatever. Because we didn't get it. They got it, right?
Comes with experience.
And wisdom.
Yeah.
Wisdom doesn't come with knowledge. It comes with age. You're going to understand something that you have always heard at 20, totally different at 40. And it's not because you didn't understand it at 20, it's because you didn't see it through you saw it through a different lens at 40. But to land the plane, grabbing those tools from the entertainment world and realizing what your parents and and your structure always said you are who you hang out with, is how we really created that foundation of the why of this being successful. So bringing in a bunch of people, me and you are older, we have families. I don't believe I'm going to see you at a nightclub at 11:30 at night popping bottles.
I would be sleeping by 10, so that would be a rare
right. But if I looked at you at 17-year-old Kevin, that's what we were doing.
I would be going out at 11:30.
At 11:30 at night, right? And not at 11, that's still too early.
No, of course.
Yeah. What do you mean, bro? It's only 11 o'clock.
11, yeah.
Who leaves at that early? And so...
Loser.
Yeah, right? But we understand that.
Of course.
And so how do we still enjoy life, but making sure that we're not putting ourselves in an environment that the person next to you can put your whole life in jeopardy? Because there's nothing wrong with 40-year-old, 35-year-old Kevin, who's a father, married, going out at 11:30, bro. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with you taking your wife on a date night at 12 o'clock at night to a nightclub to do whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not about you, though. It's about your environment. Mm-hmm. And so while there's nothing wrong with what you're doing, it's the understanding that, bro, you're putting yourself in an environment that just could go really ugly. And we're too old for that. Too old to be in an environment where you're having to post on Facebook, my wife got punched in the face by somebody, or I had to break somebody's head because he grabbed my wife's boobs in the middle of a dance floor while I was just trying to have a good time. Dude, you're attorney Kevin. That's not something. So what do? You don't tell yourself, I'm not going to go. You don't tell yourself you can't. You tell yourself, I'm not going to do that. It's not because I can't take my wife out at midnight. It's just because I don't want to be putting myself in a situation where I can't control my surroundings. I say all that because the Tampa Business Club is me and you at 17 having a great time with our 40-year-old, 35-year-old entrepreneur professional friends, understanding that our environment is bulletproof. We'll never experience an uncomfortable situation, but we can still go out with our wives. We can still have a great time. They're called networking socials for a reason, because there's no hidden agenda. So you can still go out, have a great time like you did when you were younger without the worries of what the world presents in our current environment if you were to be out at 12 o'clock. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. You know, I've seen your like black tie socials and stuff like that and all the fun events you do. I mean, yeah, it definitely... It's grown adults having a good time. Absolutely.
100% without the worry of any outside stuff.
Correct.
Yeah. That could damage our brands or any of that. And so anyways, I wanted to bring in that previous conversation into this because I thought it was very important for the audience, especially to know it doesn't matter what part of life you're at, you are who you hang out with. Your surroundings, your immediate circle is extremely important. And who you hang out with, who you associate with yourself is extremely important. And at Tampa Business Club, we're doing our best to make sure that when you come, you're associating yourself with people that have your best interests without knowing you. But we all have common ground in knowing.
Culture is key.
It's
massive.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys, I really think I've done a great job of bringing, I wouldn't even say bringing in, but attracting is probably the best word, a lot of great like-minded people that are there for the right reasons. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If you want that, you know, that, I guess, how do I say it the right way?
Experience?
That experience, you can go to you guys, or if you want a different kind of experience, there's other opportunities for you in other places.
For sure.
So
100%.
What would you say that some of the challenges were or are that you face with an events business?
Yeah, so...
And networking business more specifically.
Yeah, and I'll answer that, but I didn't want to ignore your previous question of why virtual and in person. And just to add to that, because I didn't include it, and it was a part of the ending of my previous... In person is because the 3R philosophy of Tampa Business Club is the very first R is relationship. The next R is referral. The next R is revenue. And let's stop for a minute. Neither you or I or anyone that we know have ever done business with anyone that we don't like.
Yeah.
Okay? And so when the very first R of Tampa Business Club is relationship, because what we're doing is we're bringing people together. Now, it doesn't need to be a direct relationship, personal relationship, business relationship, but for me to even refer you, I have to like you some way, how, shape, or form. And that comes from a subconscious element. I might not know you personally, but when you came across and introduced yourself, you left a memorable thing. That's a subconscious memory. I might refer you because I don't remember, but the guy he's an attorney. He does accidents. The guy that I met at the networking event last week, because it was a subconscious relationship. We don't have a direct relationship, but it was subconscious, it was impactful. You cannot get that referral if you don't have that relationship. It's impossible. No one's referring anyone that they don't trust or like.
No.
And you're definitely not going to get revenue from it. So relationship is the very first part. And so when you asked me earlier, why in person? Because energy don't lie. And once we get to a specific age of understanding in our entrepreneurship journey, we realize that we don't really judge people much by things, but by our energy, how we interpret our energy at the moment of our interaction. Wisdom allows us to interpret that energy. The older we get, the more wisdom we have in interpreting people's interactions. This is not a personal judgment. This is our own journey and how we navigate our professional journeys through energy. If it feels good, we'll talk to you. If it don't feel good, we're not.
Yeah.
And it's just that simple. And it's not personal. It's never personal. Because they never got that far.
Yeah, some people vibe, some don't. That's okay.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
it doesn't mean you're a bad person.
You can go meet another attorney. You can go meet another, marketing agency. You can go whatever you want to do. That's okay.
That's it.
And I really want to, have the audience really put some attention on relationships, and especially relationships within marketing. And you've seen this thousands of times, people meeting and stuff like that. And I've seen it too. How many times do you start with, and I'm so sick of this question, what do you do for a living? Stop starting with, what do you do for a living? Stop starting. That is like quickest way. And I'm like, it put the emoji funny. Right here on it's my face of just like shaking my head. Every time, what do you do for a living? And I know that's an easy icebreaker and stuff like that, or
that's also so cliche.
It's horrible, man. And it's like I always try to, and nobody's perfect or anything like that. I'm not some master marketer or anything like that. I'm pretty doggone good, but
yeah, for sure.
But it's like, hey, how long have you been in Tampa for? Or because obviously we're based in Tampa Bay, or hey, I like that shirt, or what, like.
There's just so many.
Figure out something that you can relate with, genuinely relate to another human being without being like, what do you do for a living?
For sure.
And I'm so like, if you want to make real relationships and not just, what do you do for a living? Oh, that's cool. I do this. Nice meeting you. Add you on LinkedIn. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. Create a real foundation and a real relationship through proper questions and through proper,
interactions.
Yeah.
Things that are meaningful.
Like every time I talk to somebody, I'm like, I want to, if I can learn something from that person, like that's awesome. Like then I really gain something. If it's like, hey, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm an accountant. Like, what?
And what do you do for a living? I'm an attorney. Oh, yeah. Great.
Oh man.
What do we do now?
Do you are you more boring or am I more boring or like, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy, dude. And I really, like I said, if there's, one thing I definitely want people, and we're going to talk more about networking, but to get out of this episode is like when you're creating these relationships and when you're having these reactions reactions or conversating with people, be different. Like think of something interesting rather than just, what do you do for a living?
No, 100%.
We were heading over in this direction and, I know obviously this was not easy. Tell me about some of the challenges that you've either experienced or have experienced and how you've overcome a lot of those.
Yeah. So I'm a Leo.
Okay.
All right. That might only matter to half the audience. People that understand, the whole horoscope side of energy and people born and how we hate rejection, and Leos are steadfast and stubborn and we're 99 miles per hour all the time and we hate rejection and we don't like no's and we just want to conquer the world all the time. That's my personality. That's just who I am, I don't accept failure, I learn from it, but learning is not where I stop. I'm revengeful. I'm a Leo.
Yeah, it's masterful.
So, So I'm like, wait, you got me, but learning from it is not enough. I still got to come get you. I got to come on top of this. I got to come out a winner, And I say all that because as we've grown the Tampa Business Club, I've realized that a lot of people that you meet with smiles, hugs, and handshakes that you assume have your best interests really don't. And you don't know what those things are or who those people are, and you'll never really know. But you learn through energy. And so, you'll meet someone a couple of times and you feel okay about them, or you're not really paying attention to the energy, and it's like the fourth or fifth time, and then you feel like, wait, why was this off? Ladies and gentlemen who are listening to this, if it feels off, it's off.
Yeah, I get it.
There's just, I'm telling you, and it might be you the problem, but that's okay. It's still off. Regardless of who the problem here is, it's off, right? And I say that because as we've grown, I have looked at our results and thought attracting, for an example, corporate sponsors or specific people would be so much easier because, hey, we see what they're doing in other spaces who have 20% the audience. So, hey, why wouldn't you? I mean, this would be so easy. Like, hey, you're over here. I'm doing this. Why don't you come over here? Like, we're 10 times bigger. And what you would assume that would be so common sense, right? Because you know that the value behind, for an example, a corporate sponsor is audience and reach. You would think that, well, have a big audience, a big reach, and it should be an easy...
Yeah, no-brainer.
No-brainer. And to learn that even in this world, there's politics, there's not what you know, but who you know, and that there is, unfortunately, results are part of it. And to understand, this is where I land the plane, guys. To understand that I have confronted my biggest struggle has been my lack of R, the very first R. Remember the first R?
Yeah, relationships, of course.
My biggest struggle has been my lack of personal relationships in ecosystems that I desperately need. Regardless of my growth, my personal accolades, and our organizational strength, that matters after you A, got founded by someone that was looking for you, or B, your personal introduction of some way became fruitful when they went and saw what you were doing, but that still required that personal introduction from someone in the middle. If you don't have that, bro, it's not happening.
No.
It's just not happening. And I struggled with that at first because I was like, I don't need to personally know anybody. Why are they not doing their job? I'm the biggest. Why are you over there and not over here? Like, it just makes no sense. You should be fired. Yeah. Like, who's your boss? It makes no sense that you're still got a job and you're not even at. That's not how the world works. You know what I mean? And so you have to understand that just because you feel a certain way, just because you see it a certain way, it doesn't necessarily mean that's the reality that we live in. It might be your reality, but we tend to create our alternate realities to fulfill our own mental state of minds of whys. But just because they're your why doesn't necessarily mean it's somebody else's why.
Do you think that, a lot of the things that you were just saying now were basically understanding yourself and taking inventory of yourself? Do you think before somebody can effectively market, they need to understand themselves, who they are as a person, and how they market well in order to increase the likelihood of better relationships?
Kevin, that is, I swear to you, I don't know how many podcasts you have done so far. I'm pretty old myself. I've been doing this a long time. That is probably one of the best freaking questions anyone's ever asked.
I appreciate it, yeah. This is episode 11, by the way. Make sure you like and subscribe. So,
what you just asked is the deepest part of our anatomy, subconsciously in every way, shape, or form. Our productivity can only go as far as your true understanding of yourself. As humans, we navigate based only on the understanding that you have. And so there's roads and journeys and paths that you're going to take that you might think are the right ones, but God knows they were always the wrong one. Mm-hmm. But no one's going to know that they're the wrong one, and not even you. because you never did enough internal digging, enough internal understanding. You never even understood who the heck you were. You were just rationally jumping on roads, thinking you're on a path.
I'm going to go to this event. I'm going to meet all these people. I'm going to tell them what they do.
That's it.
And business is going to come in the door.
That's it. The most,
and it's like,
the most important really thing that someone can do before they leave their house in any way, shape, or form. And I'm going to make this a two-part thing. The first thing is, people understand. Energy is everything. When you're meeting people, you want to understand how people are going to react to you. You have to look at yourself from a third party. If not, you're never going to be able to overcome subconscious objections that people will have against you. By the way you look, by the way you talk, by the way your energy comes across. There's so many variables that we have that make us unique, that are extremely likable to some people and not likable to others. What makes you an expert in your field is when you learn to say, before this, while we're growing up, while we're young and dumb, we say, I don't care what people think about me. You used to say that. I know you did. I never asked you, but I know you did, because it's common sense. Like, I don't care. That's not my problem.
Yeah.
As you grow, you realize that your relational wealth, your social capital is not based on who you are and what the people that are around you think about you. It's the ones that don't. That's your relational wealth, and that's your social capital. So as you grow, the first part of you as young and dumb says, I don't care what people think about me. But the second part of you, when you grow up, you go, I do care what people think about me. And it's not because I care in an aspect of they influence my decisions, or they hurt me, or they're going to change my path. No.
Any type of internalization, yeah.
No, it's not that. But as a grown person, I want to make sure that I have as much control of my identity, of my character as possible. And you do that by caring about what people think about you. Because then you know that the more people do think about you great, the less your character or your energy or your whatever can be questioned, right? And so it's extremely important to, when you're walking out into the networking world, to look at yourself from all of these angles and understand, I'm going to meet a lot of different people. I'm going to meet people that are high energy. I'm going to meet people that are serious. I'm going to meet people that might not like me because of my skin color. And so when you're in this environment, I like to call it camouflage. How do you camouflage in to every single environment? And what's going to make you the best at that world is when you can do what your question was. Look internally, analyze who you really are, analyze what other people are used to. And when you're walking out there, you're not Kevin, you're not Robert. Yeah, you're always going to be unique to yourself. So let's not get it twisted. We're not telling you to be someone fake. We're saying always be yourself, but never let your reality, your ego, your whatever, be the reason why someone don't want to talk to you. I like to say, treat the janitor as you treat the owner, right? So 100%. Treat everybody the same, right? And if you feel someone treats you maybe off or whatever, don't react with negative. You always treat it with love. Be like, make pretend that never happened, because people won't ever remember what you do for them, but they'll always remember how you make them feel. So if they come at you a certain way, but you come at them with love, they'll remember that.
Of course.
They'll remember that. They'll remember that. And that's what's important. And again, to your question, digging deep internally, looking at that, the best question I've ever heard, because it's actually something that people don't talk about. People talk about B, C, D, all the way down, but they never look at A. A is the foundation. A is the foundation of everything, which is who you are. But understanding who you are, not only for the people that like you, but for the people that might not. And understanding that it's not about, I don't care what people think, but it's about having control of external things. And that's why it's important to care about what people think, because it gives you more control of your character, your reputation, and your brand. I said it was a two-part thing because I'll close it by this. Remember, people, your brand, your personal brand, is not what people say when you're in the room. Your personal brand is what people say when you're not in the room.
I agree 100%. I mean, I agree 100% with everything you said. And I think to summarize, one of the most important things you said is nobody's asking you to change who you are.
Facts.
But be a person that you would want to hang out with. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And a lot of people, they do take the camouflaging a little too much.
No, for sure. They change their identity. They become 5 different people. Like, you're fake at that point.
Who are you?
Yep, like 100%. That's not what we're saying.
Excuse me. I've never seen you wear a suit the whole time I've known you. You know what I mean? Example. But
right.
It's so important to still not lose that identity. But yeah, be a person that you would want to hang out with. Be a people that you would want to spend time to. One thing I wanted to say as well that, when I was even taking a personal inventory of myself. So, when I would follow up is huge. I think that's a huge part of networking, and it's so forgotten when it comes to, it's like, oh, I met that person. And it's like, okay, how are you connecting with them outside of the event and things like that? And I know I'm bad, and I'm trying to get better with using LinkedIn. It's probably the social media that I use the least. And I'm like, why am I adding these people on LinkedIn? Now I should, and I do anyway, but then sending them a message, and then if they try to send me a referral or anything like that, I barely use LinkedIn. Like, why am I not following up with a text message or a medium that I use to actually connect with somebody rather than just doing the stereotypical follow-up? And I think, again, like I said, it was just a personal example of taking an inventory within yourself and figuring out, okay, what's the best way that I'm going to not only be able to connect with this person, but be able to follow up with this person and create a relationship. So how would you describe effective networking? What are some of the attributes that people should look for if they're really trying to create relationships, and maybe a little bit more detail than you talked about with the camouflage?
To touch on, I'm really big on social capital. I'm big on all these other things. And so to touch on LinkedIn, I feel like I'm an oxymoron, because us marketers, I've seen this a lot in the marketing world, where we'll kill for our clients. We make sure every I is dotted, every T is crossed, but for ourselves, we abandon ourselves. And I say this because for 7 years, I've been doing Tampa Business Club. I preached as a marketing guy, if you're in business, you got to get on LinkedIn. You got to get on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
It took me 6 years to get on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
My social capital.
I didn't even take it, just real quick, I probably didn't even take it seriously until 2 years ago when I said something to my wife, and I was like, is everybody on, is LinkedIn and she's like, yeah, it's a professional social media. Everybody uses LinkedIn in the business world. I was like, really? Okay.
Sure. And that's the same thing I would preach. And I would preach analytics. I would preach stats. I would preach data. But when I left the room, I didn't have it. Because I just never had a LinkedIn. And the worst, I say I'm an oxymoron, because now on the flip side of that, now I've been a year and a half, almost 2 years now on LinkedIn. My social capital has gone through the roof. The amount of social equity, my brother, is priceless. I've accomplished more social equity in 18 months than I did the first 5.5 years.
Due to LinkedIn?
Due to LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's amazing. It's amazing. And it's not even because these people are ever going to be my direct clients. And I say this just as something for you to take into consideration. Their networks are so big, and they share my content. They're constantly tagging people. And then the biggest part is that, for me, I'm an event person, right? They'll show up to an event, and then they go, my first event at Tampa Business Club, absolutely spectacular, blah, 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 blah. And then that post gets 80, 90 likes. I end up with 22 friend requests. But I'm not getting 22 friend requests from nothing against
your own content
or Facebook, but from pretty-year-old Jennifer. No. This is 22 friend requests of quality leads and social capital, my brother. These are leaders in community, influencers at the highest degree in whatever their niche is and whatever their market or ecosystem is. And so it's extremely important for you to know my story, because you might not get accident referral from that. But those are the people that can actually consistently refer you people when they're in conversations or whatever. And from a social equity standpoint, especially, you, Mr. Kevin, who's doing a podcast and so many other things, you're not just an attorney. You've already taken yourself out of that world. You're a community leader.
Local celebrity.
Exactly. Yeah, a local celebrity.
I got that. Somebody, real quick, man. God bless you. Somebody sent that to me 3 weeks ago. I'm still trying to take it all in. And he's like, how's it going being a local celebrity? And I was like, like, wow, like, you know, and I'd be humble about it, obviously, but yeah, I've been very blessed. But anyway,
for sure.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Sure. No, but that was it. Just on the whole LinkedIn thing. So like even myself, I'm a hard marketer. Like,
Do you think you've seen growth in the Tampa Business Club? I mean, it sounds like
huge.
it. Yeah.
Oh no, it's huge. It's been and especially from corporate. Remember earlier we talked about sponsorships, my problems. You know, we didn't really dig deep into solutions of that, but we're going to cover them now. Where I had a struggle for so long, but ever since I've been on LinkedIn so hard, these corporate sponsors have popped up a lot more organically because they're seeing it and they're like, hey, we want to be a part of that. But again, if you look at why the first 3 or 4 years, maybe I could have had exponential growth 3 or 4 years ago if I would have been on LinkedIn 3 or 4 years ago. We would never know that. But I can tell you that today, moving forward, my social capital has just blown up because of that whole LinkedIn thing. Now, your question wasn't about LinkedIn, so
basically, how would you describe effective marketing and connecting with people?
It's 100% genuine energy.
You just give so much good info, real quick, man. That like I'm like, let me circle back. to this.
I never forget.
Yeah,
one thing. On this one I did.
So I mean, how would you, man, like describe effective networking and the follow up and how does that process really go down rather than like, oh, nice to meet you?
We're all adults. The biggest key that I can tell someone in the marketing world, and I'm going to answer this by answering this way. When you come to me and you say, I'm an attorney, and I'm an accident attorney, I want to hire you to do my social media campaigns, I want to hire you to do my commercials on TV, blah, 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 blah. I know that you're hiring us because we tend to do creative content, right? So it's not the same, if you're in an accident or to slip and... No. Come on, dude. There's like 71,000 commercials just like that out there, bro.
That played today.
No. Every single day. And there's only about 3 people that anyone's ever going to remember.
Of course.
And so someone else's commercial is helping out Morgan & Morgan. Trust me. Trust
100%,
me.
Yeah.
110%.
They own that market.
But it's just what it is. And it wasn't their commercial, but because it sounded so much like it, all you did was feed into someone else's, bloodline of marketing. But anyways, so I'll come and I'm like, okay, you come to us because of this, and so we know that we need to deliver some crazy content, something outside the norm. All right. In the networking world, how do you create effective networking, relationship-wise? Let's take 3 components. First of all, no one cares what you do, and they definitely don't care what you're going to do for them, but they'll always remember how you make them feel. We said that earlier. So if you understand the core basics of human interactions, you won't remember what I do for you, but you will remember how I make you feel. If you understand that, remember the alphabet has 26 letters to start today. If we start at C, D, E, F, G, and we forget the foundation, you can build the beautifulest house, but if you don't have the proper foundation, my brother, it's going to come crumbling. And that's the same thing in proper networking. You can build the amazing chemistry, but if you skip the basics, somewhere along that interaction, it's going to fizzle out. And so the very first important component, when you're going to interact with someone, remember energy. Remember, people only remember how you make them feel. So if you're going to start your conversation with a stranger, do it through feelings. Don't do it through knowledge or quizzitively or questionably, because it's going to get you nowhere. Because as a human, I tell people, what will trigger you? If it don't trigger you, don't do it to someone else because they ain't going to trigger them.
Of course, yeah.
You need to approach a situation on how you would react. So what are you looking for as a networker? You're looking for a reaction, and then you're looking for it to be memorable. So I ask you, Kevin, or I ask you, John, or Tina, before you go talk to someone, what would it take for you to be engaged with someone, for you to remember someone? What would it take for you to make a situation memorable? Give me those answers. Oh, well, if somebody said this about me, or if someone came and brought me a drink and said how beautiful my hair was, or okay, great, do that for someone.
Yeah.
Because that's how they're going to remember you. If it works for you, it works for them. But if it don't work for you, it's not going to work for them. You can't go against the wave, you got to go with the wave, right? So that's the first thing. Remember that, because we all know in the marketing world, the first 3 to 5 seconds are the most impactful. If you don't have them, if the message is not clear, then it'll never be. You lost your audience. Nobody stays around that long. You either got my attention in the first 3 to 5 seconds, or it never happened. Mm-hmm. So if you understand all these things, these are not pitch phrases, brother. You know that. These are not sayings. This is real life. Now, you want to create your alternate reality, by all means, so be it. But we understand as if that's the real reality. And so if you understand those things, right, and then you do that moving forward. So understand what triggers you so you can use it for someone else, understand the energy, and understand people don't remember what you do for them. They remember how you make them feel. So when you're doing unorganic interactions, that are just random or whatever, make sure it's based on what do you do for a living? Because they're not going to remember that.
You treat people how you want to be treated.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're not going to remember that. They're not going to remember, so what do you do for a living?
Yeah.
Dude, you done screwed up.
Yeah,
There's nothing memorable about that.
I met the AC guy. I met the painter. I met the mobile notary. I met it. Yeah.
You won't even remember any of those things. So I'm going to ask you, how many people did you talk to? You're going to tell me 100. Do you remember what any of them do? You're going to say nope. Nope. I did at the moment. That one was, I think a painter, or I don't even know. No, he wasn't. But he painted roofers. He wasn't a painter, but you heard painting. Yeah. And because you heard so many things, you thought he was a painter. No, he was not a painter. He was somebody that specifically did painting roofers. But we won't even remember that.
No.
But you will remember the lady that came and bought you a drink. Mm-hmm. Or the one that saw something on your shoe and decided to get on her knees to take it off because you're like, what are you doing? And you're like, oh my God. And you talk about that. Can you believe this lady saw my expensive Versace shoes with a stain on them and she got on her knees and took it off? I'm always going to remember that. What's her name? I don't know, but I remember her gesture. Mm-hmm. I remember she had a black dress and she was a cool little lady who bowed down. But what does she do for a living? I don't know, but her name was Jennifer and she bowed down and she had a black dress.
Yeah.
But why? Because you get the moral of that story.
Course, yeah.
Yeah. And so when you to become effective marketer, you need to be married. You need to do that, whatever it is, every single time so people can remember you. And it's not about showing up to an event with green hair. That works. We all know that standing out works. But
it'll take you so far.
Exactly. It is not memorable. It's just the green hair guy.
Yeah. And is it a gimmick?
It's a gimmick. It's a green hair guy, but there's no memorable behind it.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. I agree. And I think I'll kind of lead into this, and I ask this in a kind of a different way on every episode. For you specifically, I'll say, when did you feel, was there a moment or a time or one specific event where you're like, the Tampa Business Club is successful? Like there's like, we made something happen.
Yeah, that was a year ago.
Took you 6 years to feel that way.
Yeah,
way.
I had no idea what I was doing. Kevin, I'm not going to get on a podcast and sell myself as if I had a plan. I never
Thousands of people.
I never had a plan.
Numerous events.
Never had a plan.
Wow. Okay,
I was blindsided by everything.
Wow.
I created this, but I never did it with intention. In the very beginning, I said it very clear. Wow. I created this for me.
Yeah.
I never knew what I was doing for other people. I said that clearly in the beginning. I'm not going to, again, I've been asked this many times. I've had 100 opportunities to pound my chest and make myself seem like a Mark Zuckerberg about a brilliant mind. No, bull crap. That's not true. I never knew it, bro. It was a hobby. It was never formulated. There was never a vision. There was never a plan. You know what I did have a vision and a plan for? The Tampa Bay Latin Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
I don't want to change the conversation to that, but Tampa Bay Latin Chamber of Commerce, I had a clear vision.
Go ahead. Tell me a little bit about the Tampa Latin Chamber.
We've been around for 5 years.
Okay.
We're the first organization in the history of our region to receive massive funding, $500 million, $500,000, thanks to Congresswoman Jane Castor. We did a federal initiative where we partnered up with the Tampa Bay Wave to do a Latin tech initiative, $500,000 every single year. No one's ever seen that. Okay, our organization has an amazing leadership team, power women. I say that proud. Yes, there's men on there, but our president is a woman. Our vice president is a woman. I mean, they are just workhorses with nothing but the true core intentions of Tampa Bay being the best it could possibly be. When I tell you about the Tampa Bay Latin Chamber of Commerce, I speak like a father watching their child grow up to be an NBA star. I'm proud because I put the work in. I had a vision. I had a mission. I knew what I wanted for Tampa Bay. And though I take maybe the credit for creating it and putting the leaders there, I do not take the credit for what the organization is doing.
Wow.
Because when you put a leader to lead, you don't put them to lead your way. If you do that, you're not asking for a leader, Kevin. You're asking for a puppet. When you choose a leader to lead, you have to let them lead their way. That's when you see if they're great leaders or if they're not great leaders. But if you ever put a leader in place and tell them you need to do it this way, then they're not leaders. You're not asking for leaders, you're asking for employees.
Yes.
And so at that point, they're your puppets. They're doing it your way. You could get anyone to do that. Again, take the credit for putting the people in place, but that's as far as I'll go, because after that, everything we see today is a fruit of their hard work. And I had a vision, I had a mission, I had a clear vision. The vision was very clear. You get the greatest people to do the greatest things. And that's what I did. I cannot take credit for the greatest things. I can only take credit for choosing the greatest people. Remember, I didn't make them great. They were great. I had to sell them on this dream, and they sold and they bought. But from that point forward, I went to them because I knew they were great. But everything past that is due to their greatness, not me. But why are we even talking about this? Because it was a clear vision. It was a mission. When we look at Tampa Business Club, there was none. It was created as a hobby for Roberto. How successful grown-ups have fun. I come from the entertainment world. Dude, I just wanted to do parties with people. Bring a bunch of y'all together so I could build your websites. Done. I mean, we can create millions of storylines to make myself look great, but that will all be a lie because they were not real. It was a year and a half ago, when Tony Savaggio, a good friend of mine, looked at me and said, Roberto, I know you personally for many years. We've talked about the Tampa Business Club for many years. I need you to understand something. If you woke up tomorrow and said, I am no longer doing Tampa Business Club, you will effectively leave a huge void in our ecosystem. And I said, what? And he goes, it's time for you to stop taking this as a joke. Thousands of people depend on you, and you have no idea it's happening. And I said, whoa.
Yeah.
And then he goes, bro, do you really think you've been consistent for 6 years because you're that likable? No one is that likable. It's your solution to a problem that many people have that puts you in that position. It's not that you're likable, because no one goes 6 straight years of consistency due to their likableness.
How many people do you think have gone to your events?
Oh, thousands. 24,000 people already.
No way.
Yeah.
No way. Over 6 years. That's insane. Yeah. All Tampa Bay people.
Yep.
All Tampa Bay.
Yep. Yeah, we have 5.6 thousand people, 5.6 thousand followers on Eventbrite. That's insane. The number one, I think, anywhere.
Oh, period. Yeah. Especially consistent networking. Oh,
because Eventbrite is not a social platform.
Yeah, no.
It's a buying platform.
Correct.
They're not there for likes and shares. They're there to buy.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at Eventbrite and you look at 5.6 thousand, that's 5.6 thousand buyers. That is 5.6 thousand people that said, I am going to stay around and continue to buy. That's what that is. That's not I'm here for liking and sharing. Nobody knows who those 6,000 people are. I don't know who they are. But they're there because they're like, I want to know when's their next event. We're 1,000% ahead of anybody next in line. Like there's no one close to 2,000 for that matter.
Tell me about what the future is for the Tampa Business Club.
Man, I have no idea.
Yeah?
Yeah, I really don't.
That's probably the best part?
Yeah, because I've never...
that's why
I've
it's
allowed
so
the
good.
people to dictate it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably why it's so good, is because there isn't as much of a mission. It's, listen, we're just trying to, create a great time for grown-ups. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, we're just trying to create, an amazing networking atmosphere, and that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, tomorrow someone like Kevin will come around and say, listen, man, I see you have a big audience. I have a great idea, and I think we should do this. I don't know what that is, and I'm going to go, bro, let's do it. All of a sudden, now we have a new initiative. Anyone that knows me, I'm a yes type of guy. And people make money on connections. I think it's one of the biggest things out there, actually, when you're really well connected and you're in that PR world. That's why it's called public relationship, is to make money off your connections. I'm an open book. Anyone that knows me knows that my motto is my connections are your connections. That's my motto. I'm opposite. I don't care to make money on connections, you know. I'm blessed that I'm connected at all levels, you know, federal, government, you name it. You know, when DeSantis comes down, when senators come down, I mean, I'm one of the very first people they call, right, to organize a lot of these smaller things, especially in our Hispanic community. But again, that means nothing to me. If someone calls me and says, hey, I need that connection, first thing I do is make an email to connect. I'm like, that's it. It's up to them if they want to respond. But I've never been one to look at this growth or this anything as anything else than how can I give it to other people? I don't want it for myself. Yeah, like, I'm good, man. You know, I come from a lot of different worlds, you know. You said that in the very beginning of the podcast, and I said that we'll talk about that later. You know me from Tampa Business Club. You know? I've owned 8 restaurants in Tampa.
Wow. Okay.
I had 22 cell phone stores in Tampa. I own 2 clinics in Tampa. I'm a chef by trade. Depending on what world you know me, you don't know any other side of me.
Yeah.
And I am older now, but I was baby boy for 20 years. You know, I had 2 number 1 hits, 3 number 1 hits, 1 in the United States, 2 in Central South America. There's people that only know me as baby boy. Like, oh my God, you look so old and grown now. What happened? I mean, literally, that is exactly the comment. They're not going to go, oh my God, baby boy. No, they're going to go, whoa, what happened? It's exactly the response I get, right? But yeah, I'm not 25 or 26, 27-year-old. You know, I'm not 150 pounds no more. Like, those days are gone, right? My kids are in college, bro. My daughter's just entering law school.
That's amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Like, we're way past that. But those people
Can I talk her out of it?
No, you talk her into it. My point is that those people will never know that me and Kevin had a podcast. You know, if you know me from the restaurant world, you probably have no idea that I'm really known as a cell phone pioneer. I'm the first person in our region to bring cell phones to the forefront of our community. Before me, they did not exist. You know what I'm saying? It was just beepers. And I owned the 3rd largest beeper company at 18 years old, 1998, man. You know, and my mom bought it for me right out of high school. We had, you know, close to 7,000 customers.
Wow.
Residual, you know, and that fizzled out within 36 months because the end of that era, like dinosaurs. 36 months later, I probably had 300 or 400 customers because free phone. Everybody was like, wait, what? And just to add content to this, you go to 97, Aerial Communications came into Tampa. We were the 7th dealer signed up. I was still in high school. I had just opened up my company with my cousin. But I was still in high school. So it's his money, my knowledge, because I had just came from Better Beepers. Better Beepers was the number 1 beeper company in probably the state of Florida. Nobody. And they were based off of Hillsborough and 22nd. So trust me, the hood had that place going crazy. And I come from that shop. That's where I learned everything. 2 black men taught me everything I needed to know. I was a 7-figure earner by the age of 21 because of what I learned in the hood, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was 21 years old walking into my neighborhood and nobody would want to say hi to me. They thought I was the biggest drug dealer in the world. 21 years old with a Yukon, a Tahoe, and a brand new Lexus IS 300.
And you're slinging beepers.
No, 2 years, no, cell phones. 2 years later, I buy the Hummer and I bought another Yukon. And I'm telling you, people were like, oh my God, don't even get me. I would walk into my neighborhood, people would run into their houses. I'm like, and by the way, this is stuff that I know now. Back then, I didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
I would see people run away, but I didn't even know they were running away. I look at it now, and I go, at that time, I was going to church 3 times a week.
Complete opposite.
I'm like, wait, what the heck? I'm born and raised in the ministry. I'm far from anything you guys could possibly think. Let me give you the story. I went from beepers to cell phones, and VoiceStream made me a millionaire. That's it. It has nothing to do with anything else. I'm not slinging dope, people, I promise, but I'll pray for you. But I never got the chance to talk to that people because they thought the opposite, right? It's just freaking hilarious. But again, I say that because you mentioned Tampa Business Club. Other people mentioned this. This wasn't a gloating moment for Roberto. This was a moment of understanding. People are going to know you from different markets, from different places, and they're never going to be able to correlate your other identities. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does.
Because they're not in those worlds.
Of course.
They're not in those worlds. And so I take pride and not ego or not gloat, but I take pride in all of those different eras of my life because I have been able to make extremely impactful relationships that have lasted a lifetime And those relationships are so genuine that if you went to people that know me from the restaurant business, they'll honestly tell you, I don't know anything else he does, because our conversations were never about me. They were always about us and about our friendship and about whatever it was at the moment. But there was never a space in any of these 10-year relationships for me to come out and be like, hey, do you know what else I do? Do you know what else Who does that? If you don't ask, I won't tell. And most people won't ask because they're your friend. They're not caring about how much, you know what I'm saying? Like, how much money do you have in your bank account, Kevin? When have you traveled? No one asks those questions. Like, those are not things you ask, bro. Like, we're just friends.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Like, I don't even ask how your career is because I'm your skating buddy. Like, we know each other from skateboards.
Yeah.
And that's every time I see you, that's going to be a conversation. I've known you, and we'll be 60 years old. We're still talking about the same stuff we talked about when we were 17. Bro, that's your boy. That's your brother. That's your friend, bro. Mm-hmm. That's the guy you want to keep around forever. Mm-hmm. Like, he'll see you with your Lamborghini and just say, nice car.
Yeah.
I mean, when are we going skating?
Yeah.
Like, dude, those are the best freaking people, man.
And I still have those people around me.
I know, for sure. And they're not going nowhere.
No,
they're not going nowhere. They're not going nowhere. And we can all say that. But I say that because, again, those relationships I have in all these different sectors. You know, and very few times I get opportunity to talk about that cell phone thing because I'm so old now. I'll probably go only as far back as my music career, 2008 to 2013. So everything before then, we don't even talk about.
Wow.
But that's who made me.
Yeah.
That's who made me. Better Beepers made me. 2 black guys made me. They taught me everything. 21 years old, 7-figure earner because of the hood.
It's those experiences, man, that put you where you are. And, you know, that's why we have this platform here. So, you know, it's not, everybody's like, well, what's it about? I'm like, it's about people crushing it in Tampa Bay. Mm-hmm. And there's no doubt that you're not crushing it, my friend.
I'm trying, man.
So,
it's a we thing. It's a we thing.
I'll tell you, well, there's a little bit of I mixed in there, man, but I'll tell you what, this was everything that I thought it was going to be and more. Thank you for sharing everything with us. I'm going to put a link in the description for the Tampa Business Club. Make sure you follow that. Follow Roberto. Follow the events that are coming up in the Tampa Bay area. I promise you there's some of the best marketing events out there, networking events, to really get to know some quality people. So as always, we'll end the episode. It is no accident that Roberto is successful as he is. So thank you, my friend, for joining us.
No accident.
We'll
I'm here with you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And my producer's going to get upset. Boom. Like and subscribe, all right? Boom, baby.
Let's
we'll
go.
See you soon.
All right,
all right, dude.
Boom.